Hi, folks. I have with me today David Stockton. David is the Vice President of Technology at i3Logics in Denver, Colorado. Say hi, David.
Hey, everybody.
So, David, you are doing a unique talk at ZendCon using logs to help you stop your app from doing dumb things.
Yep. Yeah, it's hoping it'll be interesting.
So, give folks a little bit of a preview as to what that means. And it's I think it's interesting that you're taking the perspective at using logs proactively, whereas lots of folks, particularly with production environments, tend to, you know, they tend to, look at logs as a last-ditch effort to go figure out what's gone horribly wrong.
Right, and that's traditionally how logs have been used, and it's not a bad way to use logs. But kind of the reason I came up with this topic was, I was going through and debugging some things and trying to figure out why something was being weird. And I just ended up dropping a log into the constructor of one of our user models, and I found that when we were having a completely invalid login, wrong user, wrong password, we were still creating 2 user model objects. And when we had a good user and a bad password, we were creating 5 of them. And when we had a completely good login, there was 16 user objects that were created. So I started to look in and see why are we doing this? This seems really stupid, right? And I think by using the logs that way and by putting different logging calls, even if they're temporary, while you're troubleshooting or doing some other things, you can help kind of cut some of those things off and find out, okay, why on this request when I was expecting that only this, these 2 or 3 things should happen, why am I getting so many of these calls?
And you bring sort of an interesting set of experience to this topic because while everybody thinks that their application is mission critical, the stuff that you guys do at i3Logics is, you do really mission critical stuff, balloting applications and employment, drug screening.
Sure.
You have the kind of applications that don't bear mistakes in programming well at all.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're, of course there's going to be problems in our applications. There's problems in everybody's applications, but we want to try and find those and eliminate them and make our code better, as soon as we can find out where it's doing dumb things. And so logs are one way that we can do that regardless of the environment, right? If it's in development or the integration environment or in production even, we can go back and we use something like, we use Splunk. There's other tools that allow you to search your logs and get statistics on it. And it can definitely help be able to track those things down.
So, as the VP of Technology in a busy company with a pretty large number of employees for a software as a service company, why do you take the time to go do a conference like ZendCon, and why does the executive team at i3Logics afford you the time to spend the better part of a week out of the office?
Well, I think for me, since I've been involved in PHP for quite a while, in the community for a little bit less time because I was trying to find it and it just apparently didn't exist around here until around 2008, as far as I can tell. But I think the community is very important, and I wanted to get involved in that. After I finally found a user group out here and joined up, and one of our early meetups there had somebody that opened up with a rape joke, and then he had SQL injection in his code examples and everything. And he said, when we start out here, I'm going to let you know right now, I'm going to make some mistakes. Some of them are on purpose, and some of them are not. I'm not going to tell you which is which, just to keep it interesting, right? And he goes on and essentially has this talk about how to build forms using associative arrays in PHP. And he loads all those and serializes them and sticks them in the database, and then pulls them out using a get variable directly in his SQL. And I'm, so at the end of his talk, I'm like, so I got to know, is the SQL injection, is it on purpose or not? He's like, what SQL injection? And it was like, basically at that point, I'm like, all right, we have people here who haven't been coding for that long, who don't know any better. And I want to make sure that the information that they get is valid and correct, and that they're not sent down the way of building vulnerable web apps and building code that has all sorts of problems that they'll have to deal with later.
Well, and I think guys like us that have been involved in web development for a long time forget that there are a lot of folks who have had long, successful careers as desktop developers that are still new to web technology and the kinds of mistakes and vulnerabilities that you can inadvertently introduce into a web application.
Sure.
So they
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those that you can still do in a desktop application, but then the assumption there is if you're using a desktop application, you're probably a legit user, right? You installed the thing, but similar, you got SQL injection can happen in there, potentially cross-site scripting depending on how the application is built and so on. So it's important no matter where you are, but especially important on the web where we can't really go and say we trust anybody, right?
Right, especially with the kind of applications that you guys write.
Right.
So, so is this the first ZendCon that you've come to?
This will be my third, actually.
Awesome. Any plans to maybe add a session at the UnCon?
I may try again. I've tried in the previous two, and I can't remember if it was filled up or something happened with one of the sessions or whatever. But yeah, I enjoy going to the ZendCon or to the UnCon rather.
Yeah, so that's one of the things about the UnCon is it gets so popular that it can actually be tough to get a session in. So folks get in early. How can folks find you or follow you on the World Wide Web in between now and when they come to your talk at ZendCon?
I'm on Twitter at dstockto. I don't tweet a ton. I have a blog at davidstockton.com, which is not updated a lot. I have a website, zendtutorials.com, which is also not updated all that often, but it was supposed to be about Zen framework specific tutorials. And then I've also got a newer site, which needs to be updated but hasn't been in a while, which is TDDFTW, all about getting started with test-driven development.
Awesome. Well, thanks, David. Anything that you want to leave folks with before they get to see you at ZendCon?
I hope to see you all there. I love meeting new people and seeing the people that I've met in the years past and the people that I've been following for years. It's great to meet them and talk to them and see them in person. So the conference has provided a great way to be able to do that.
Well, thanks, David. I look forward to seeing you in person in just a few short weeks.
Sounds great.